thank you for joining us today for our video on Talking with the Giants. I'm Tamara Vivian from Lymphatic Therapy Centre, where our mission is to provide evidence-based practice to our patients and create public awareness of what we do. We hope you enjoy today's chat. We've got Lou James with us today. Hi, Lou.
Hi, Tamara, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Lou is coming to us all the way from New Zealand. So we've got Lou in the afternoon and South Africa in the morning. So Lou James has dedicated the last 16 years to helping improving the lives of people affected by cancer in New Zealand and overseas. Lou graduated with a Bachelor of Health Science and Physiotherapy from AUT in 1997. She is responsible for the introduction of the Pink and Steel Next Steps and Paddle On Cancer Rehabilitation programs, which focus on the physical and mental well-being of people affected by cancer. The programs are now available in 16 countries and have supported thousands of people. In 2006, Lou founded the Pink and Steel Cancer Rehabilitation Foundation to help make rehabilitation more accessible and affordable for New Zealanders, and has also founded foundations in Australia, the UK, and Ireland. Lou has been recognized for her pioneering work in this field, most recently being appointed by a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit in 2017 for services to people with cancer. Welcome, Lou. It is an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Cameron. It's great to speak to you.
So Lou, to just get us started, can you just tell us your story and how this passion in cancer rehabilitation developed and where you are in your career now?
Sure. Well, it's not something that I thought about early on in my life. When I was a teenager, I represented New Zealand in triathlon, so I was really sporty. And it led me to wanting a career where I was going to help athletes. And so I was really passionate about wanting to help people rehabilitate and get active again after they've been ill or had an injury. And that's what I was really interested in early on. And I started my own business when I was 25 in Auckland, New Zealand, hoping to do more of that. However, when I started seeing people in my clinic, so it was a private clinic, and these people were facing cancer, it's when I really started to feel that I could offer the valuable difference that I really wanted to as a physiotherapist, and it really inspired me to do more work in this field. So it's not something that I first thought I would be interested in. But when you see the impact of cancer on someone, when you see the impact on their physical well-being, the impact on their function, the impact on their strength and on their stamina and their self-confidence, and also on their mental health, and how it also impacts their relationships, their ability to get back to work, their ability to get back to do activities that they love. This really, really shocked me. And it was something that I really wanted to be able to help people with. So I learned quickly that through doing a really good physical and functional assessment of these people, and looking at their whole person and how the cancer affected the whole of them, there were lots that I could do to actually help them. So it was really inspiring to see the work that I was doing having such transformations. And so the transformations that I saw through the rehabilitation work that I was doing with people affected by cancer was really amazing. That, the transformations in their strength, the transformations in their happiness and their vitality and even their positivity was huge. And I didn't think that I was doing rocket science, but I thought, it made me really passionate to want to do this more and then want to help other people do this more. So that's when I started focusing on teaching. So over 12 years ago now, I started teaching other healthcare professionals how to use their skills to help people affected by cancer. So now, now my focus really is teaching other healthcare professionals worldwide how to help people affected by cancer, and also how to help break down some of the barriers people may have to cancer rehabilitation in their areas. And I love the work that I do now because I get to work with wonderful people like yourself all over the world who are really also passionate about helping people that have been impacted by cancer, get back to living their lives as best they can again.
Well, that's fantastic that you've got that passion. We're grateful that you do. I mean, your impact worldwide has been phenomenal, 16 countries. And from what I hear, you're just going from strength to strength. So thank goodness. Thank goodness for you. So Lou, in South Africa, oncology rehabilitation hasn't really been a field on its own until fairly recently. And can you just give us an outline of what exactly is oncology rehabilitation, and what do you do with your patients?
Well, oncology rehabilitation is actually a massive topic, but in a nutshell, oncology rehab focuses on, does not focus on the disease. It focuses on the person and helping them live well. So really the focus is on each person. And the first step really in oncology rehabilitation is to identify what quality of life means to somebody, because that's what our focus is. So, has the cancer affected their ability to move? What are the effects of the cancer on that person? Are they suffering? And how can cancer rehab improve the quality of their life or lift the quality of their life? So occupational therapists and physiotherapists that work in oncology rehab have a significant role in helping people reintegrate back into their lives as best they can. So essentially, oncology rehab therapists are aiming to help people achieve the maximum possible potential that they can, not just physically, but psychologically, vocationally, and socially as well. And this is how the Pink and Steel programs and our training works. It's not a cookie cutter approach to rehabilitation. It involves individual assessments and rehabilitation plans that are tailored for each individual's needs and what's important to them. So, cancer affects people in such different ways. There's hundreds of different types of cancer. The treatments are all different. So oncology rehab is very much specific to what each person needs. It also covers rehab while a person is undergoing treatment, or when that treatment has finished, or whether they're in the palliative phase. So it covers a full range of areas in terms of a person's care. So that's it in a nutshell. Do you want me to expand any more on that, Tamara?
I think maybe we could have a look at exactly what, if somebody does come in for a therapy session, when should they start coming, and what can they expect? What will we be doing with them?
So I suppose that the thing with our Pink and Steel trained physios and OTs is that they've all been trained in a postgraduate oncology rehab certification. So they're already qualified in their professions, and then they do extra training to qualify in oncology rehab. And that knowledge is really important because that enables us to assess a person, assess the impact that the cancer has had on them. So the treatments don't necessarily just impact the body part that has cancer. They can affect your ability to breathe, they can affect your energy levels, they can affect entire body systems. And so our skills are to assess a person to see what the impact of the cancer is. So we're not focused on, other medical professionals in oncology are focused just on the disease mainly, and trying to get rid of the disease and the making sure that they're covering that. Whereas we're covering the function of the person, how that person can now live while they're going through treatment or when the treatment is finished. So our focus is very much on what the person's preferences is, what they want to get back to, what's important to them in their lives, and how we can help them do that with in terms of the limitations that they have while they're going through treatment or after the treatment is finished. So once we've done that assessment, then cancer rehab or oncology rehab is specific for that person. So it could involve helping them with strategies to help improve their energy, like fatigue management. So it can help them work out how they can use the energy that they have best so they can gain more energy. It can work on things like if strength is a major problem for them and they're not strong enough to do some of the things, then we'll work on increasing the strength where they need it, or the stamina where they need it. It could look at pain. So they may have an impairment and they're not able to move properly, or their mobility has been affected, so then we will focus on their mobility. So it really is determined on what the impact the cancer treatment has had on a person to what the rehabilitation would involve. It doesn't always involve exercise. Sometimes people think oncology rehabilitation is just exercise. Exercise is an important component because the research shows how important exercise is in terms of improving quality of life. But cancer rehab can also involve things like cognitive therapy. People with undergoing chemotherapy are effective in a number of different ways, including cognitively. So it really is determined by how the person is impacted by the treatments. What we do with Pink and Steel is we start off with individual sessions. So you have an individual assessment, then you have individual sessions tailored for you that can involve sessions in the clinic and things that you can do at home. But the focus is really on what you can do to help yourself. So we give you the tools and the strategies so that you can help yourself. And that helps people get some control back. Because often when you're going through cancer treatment, you feel like you've lost a lot of control. And so it helps people get control back. And once they've got that control and they know what they can do, that's really motivating physically. And it's also really helpful for people mentally to feel like they've gained some control and they can get back to what they want to do.
I think that's great, Lou. I think you mentioning just that the gaining control of their lives. I think people often come to us and they're afraid and they don't know what they can do and what they can't do. They don't often, well, in my experience, my patients don't often know what the full extent of the impact of the cancer treatments or the cancer process itself has had on them. So they might not even recognize their fatigue management. I'm sure it's very obvious to them, but they might not recognize it as a problem that can be helped or rectified. So having somebody there who's been through this with other patients and who can advise and ask the right questions, I think is invaluable. So me coming from a lymphatic background for the last 11 years, I wasn't asking all of the correct questions until I had completed the oncology rehabilitation certification, and that was only recently. So I think the value of having a oncology certified therapist in the oncology rehabilitation space is of paramount importance to our patients, so that they can be directed in the care that they need.
I think one of the big things is empowering people with the knowledge of how they can help themselves. And a lot of the focus is on the treatment and getting rid of the cancer, and people don't understand what they can do. And when we tell them, why things are happening to their body in certain ways and what they can do to help it, that's really, really empowering, and it really improves the quality of their life when they know that they can do that. And I think one of the sad things is when you're involved in this field is you see people that have missed out. You see people that don't understand that there was that support available and they could have been helped earlier on, which would then have stopped some of the suffering or disability that they've now got because they didn't know that was available.
Absolutely. You've got a lovely slogan that you use. I think it's "Leave no one behind," or you've got something to that effect.
No one should miss out.
That's the one. And that is so true.
I think cancer rehabilitation isn't a nice to have, it's essential, and no one should actually miss out. So everyone that's been diagnosed with any kind of cancer should see an oncology rehab professional to see all the things that they're doing so they can maximize their own potential while they're going through treatment and afterwards. So yeah, it's not a nice to have it. Everyone should be able to have some cancer rehabilitation.
And when do you think they should start their cancer rehabilitation, Lou?
Well, ultimately, as soon as they can. The earlier the better. And we now have oncology rehab professionals that work and see people before their operations, and then they're able to give them a lot of education around the impact that the treatment's going to have on them and how they can help themselves. And if they feel a certain symptom or they have some worries or their arm's not moving properly, then they know where to go to get help for that. So they're not, floundering on their own, not knowing what to do. So as early as possible. But, cancer rehabilitation can be effective straight after surgery. It's very helpful to get people moving again and letting them understand the things that they can do and the things that they should maybe delegate to other people. It's also really effective during chemotherapy. So when people can have oncology rehab during chemotherapy, it can decrease some of the side effects of the chemotherapy on their body. So it can mean that they have less nausea, they are less tired, they're less deconditioned, and they can cope better with treatment. So that's a really important thing that a lot of people don't know, that oncology rehabilitation can help people during chemotherapy and also radiation therapy. So radiation therapy affects and restricts a lot of people's movement and has long-lasting impact. If they can be involved in oncology rehab during that, then we can reduce the long-term effects that can have on their function. And also after the treatments have finished, then some side effects from cancer treatment don't even occur until the treatment has finished. So we have a big service after the cancer treatment is finished. So even if people are 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years down the track, their window for cancer rehab hasn't closed. There's still things that we can do that can improve their strength, that can improve their mobility, that can improve their energy levels and their function. So there's still a lot of support that oncology rehab professionals can provide even once the treatment is finished.
Okay, so when I first looked up pink and steel, because you were mentioned to me by one of my colleagues, one of the first things that came up was the stand-up paddling. And I saw that picture and I thought, oh, this looks very interesting. So how are you supporting your patients in your community with stand-up paddling?
Well, see, as I mentioned earlier, I was a very sporty person, and I loved anything to do with exercise, and I love being outside. So one of the things that I found when I've started working in oncology rehab is people are affected by cancer for a long time. And now there's really good evidence to suggest that they should be doing regular physical activity. But a lot of people think haven't always been into physical activity like I have. And when you say, let's get you into physical activity or exercise, they go, what? I don't like that. So, I wanted to be able to find programs that people would really enjoy, because physical activity should be fun. And so stand-up paddling was something that someone introduced me to, and I just thought this is such a fabulous form of exercise that anyone can do. The fact that you're out on the water is amazing. That's so good for your mental health as well. The exercise itself is extremely good for improving a lot of the things that cancer takes away. So it improves people's balance, it improves people's upper body strength and lower body strength and core strength. So if you're really keen on getting a strong core, paddleboarding is awesome. And it's really good for stamina, but also the support people have by doing it in a group can be great as well, and the people that they can meet. And the most exciting thing for me about our paddleboarding oncology program is people often start it and they are very timid. They've never done it before. They're often really scared that they're not going to be able to do it. Some people even come that are afraid of the water, and they're really not confident in their ability, but it's something that they can learn. And when they learn a new skill, their whole confidence grows. When they're on the water, they're like, oh, exercise isn't that bad after all. Is this exercise? This is fun. So I think it can really change people's perceptions of what physical activity is. And it's so good for their physical, and mental well-being. And we started the paddleboarding program in New Zealand in 2015. And we encourage the groups to keep in touch with each other. So we've got people that have met each other through those groups, and they're still paddling together. And they've now joined the paddleboarding community. So I'm a really big believer that oncology rehabilitation doesn't stop, after the treatment's finished. We need to get people back to being able to enjoy their life again. So that's why I'm really into programs that continue on after treatment to help people get the physical activity exercise levels that they need, and they actually enjoy it.
That's fantastic. So we certainly strive to get a couple more programs going in South Africa. So watch this space. What other programs are you doing? I see there's all sorts of campaigning and courses that are being offered on teaching us how to do this aftercare and create these programs. What else are you up to?
Yeah. There are a lot of different types of programs that we're now trying to encourage physios and OTs to get involved in, because we see that the need for people in a long-term space, but we also see the need that it needs to be cost effective. So one-on-one treatments, I think, are really vital first. It needs to be tailored to each individual. But then I think it's really good if we can progress people into a group setting and then progress them into community setting if we can. So another one of the programs we're involved in is called Next Steps. And that involves involves cardiovascular exercise, it involves Pilates type exercise, it involves yoga, it involves meditation and mindfulness. So that's looking at all the current research on the benefits of physical activity and that what that involves, and incorporating it into a program that helps people. And that's a 10-week program, and it involves sort of education things all about how people take that next step after they've been through that cancer treatment to get back into their lives. And again, the same thing, we often have people in those classes that have never exercised before and are really not that confident about doing it. But once they get in there and they see that it's fun, you know, we've got music playing and a lot of people all with different abilities doing what they can and really enjoying that. And then the gains that they make in that make people realize how important, you know, that is in their recovery going forward. So we do that. And we have a lot of therapists now that are doing all sorts of things and like walking or different activities that they're getting people out involved in their community, which I think is great.
Yeah, I think Pilates can be quite scary because you often have this picture of a contortionist at the front of the class, and you feel like you have to keep up with it. But it's really not. You, as you say, you can be in the class and do what you can do. And you know, I think if everybody's coming through the program together with the same common denominator of just coming through cancer and their cancer journey, it's a safe space. It's a great place to start. So
yeah,
I think
and I've worked with some really young people as well that have been affected by cancer and got them into the group environment. And I kind of thought, you know, they might be really worried being in that group environment. They might feel self-conscious that they can't do certain things. But within the group, there's so many different types of cancer and so many different effects of it, and they could all see things that they were good at, and they became their own cheerleaders. So they all supported each other in doing things, and I think that was really awesome. And you know, often they would be really good at one part, not so good at the other, and then you know, got better at each of those things just by showing what they could do. So I think, you know, people are often wrapped up in cotton wool when they're going through cancer treatment, and they don't think that they can push themselves in certain ways. So having someone that's trained in this, guiding them, showing them that it's safe, showing them what they're capable of doing, makes them start believing in themselves. And I think that's the most important thing, helping them believe in themselves, helping them have hope that they can progress. And as we've seen, as I've seen from working in this field for so long, you see those transformations, and it's so rewarding area to work in.
So Lou, what are some of the symptoms that people need to look out for and that cancer rehabilitation can help with?
Well, I think if anyone has anything that's painful or swollen or numb or tingly, then they need to go and see an oncology rehab professional. So they can help also with, you know, swelling. They can help with lymphedema, as you know. They can help with peripheral neuropathy and scar management. So if people have got a sore scar and it pulls when they move, or anything's troubling them about their scar, then oncology rehab therapists can help with that too. If people are finding themselves exhausted or lacking in energy, then oncology rehab can really help with fatigue management. And this is something that I think is often forgotten in helping people affected by cancer. Everyone knows that the cancer treatments can make people really tired. But the effect can be long lasting, and fatigue management is really, really effective in helping people start gaining control again of their lives and of their fatigue. And it requires having specific exercises that people can do that will help give them more energy and not wear them out. So it's quite specific, and that can really help. So anyone that's impacted by exhaustion or lack of energy, people that are having trouble with sleeping or relaxing or breathing properly, all those sort of things, oncology rehab can help. People that are having problems with their balance and that might be at risk of falls, or just their balance has been affected and their coordination has been affected, those things can be helped with oncology rehab. Also, people that are struggling to get back to work or struggling to manage tasks around the house or activities that they used to enjoy. So if you can't, having trouble returning to work or working full time, or you're having trouble managing around the house, or you're having trouble getting back to things that you used to enjoy, then you should go and see an oncology rehab professional, and they'll help you set goals and help you, guide you so you can get back to doing those things again. So all of these, you know, sort of symptoms or problems that you may be having or concerns you may be having after your cancer treatment, you know, are areas that oncology rehab professionals can help you in.
Great, thank you. And what are some of the long-term impacts of the cancer treatments, and how can we help with that?
Well, one of the things in terms with cancer is there's been a lot of research now on the impact, the long-term impacts on the cancer treatment. And cancer treatments are great. They are saving people's lives. But there is research to show that cancer survivors or people that have been impacted by cancer are more likely to have a lifetime increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease, developing diabetes, developing osteoporosis, getting functional decline, developing lymphedema, getting a cancer reoccurrence, or a new primary cancer. Now, all of these things can be helped with regular physical activity. So that means that people need to do moderate, regular physical activity every week, which includes cardiovascular exercise and resistance training. So if people want to get support so that they reduce their chances of getting some of these long-term side effects, they should really go and see an oncology rehab professional, and they will prescribe precisely what they need to achieve that. So I think, you know, there's a lot of long-term consequences of treatment that we can help. And if people knew that they could get help, then they would. And another point that I want to make is a lot of the support that you can get from oncology rehab professional, you don't necessarily have to keep coming into their clinics. They can help you do these things at home. They can give you the tools so that you can manage this yourself. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep coming to see them every week for the rest of your life, just to reduce your chances of getting some of these things. They can give you the tools so that you can do that yourself.
That's great. And I think that one of the take-homes that I had from doing your certification was, again, people can be quite resistant and can be quite afraid to start exercise. And now we're prescribing exercise and asking them to do it for the rest of their lives. But I think the point of the oncology rehabilitation therapist is that we meet the patient where they are. We meet the person where they are. So if there hasn't been a lot of activity in their lives and now we're asking them to do too much, it's obviously going to be too much. But we can incorporate it into hanging the washing or doing the dishes, walk from one end of the kitchen to the other and get a little bit more steps in that way. So I think exercise, the definition of exercise, isn't what we always think. It's just increased activity in your life, I would guess. So
yeah, absolutely. Exercise doesn't mean walking for an hour or going to the gym. Exercise snacking is actually a good thing for people to do as well. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing that's coming through the research now is that it's precision exercise prescription. So it's getting tailored for where you're at and your needs specifically. And, you know, and there's a lot of evidence now that even people with advanced disease are benefit from exercise as long as it's prescribed and tailored for them. So, you know, even people that have advanced disease, if we can keep them exercising, we can improve their function, we can keep them independent for longer, we can keep the quality of their life better. It's really important. So so exercise or physical activity, it isn't about, you know, walking for an hour or going to the gym. There's lots of different ways that people can incorporate a little bit more physical activity in their lives, which has a huge benefit, not only for their physical health, but for their mental health as well.
So exercise really is the best medicine.
Absolutely. If anyone is suffering or feeling the impact of their cancer, or if anyone knows someone that's suffering, to find out someone in their area that can support them with oncology rehab, because there's so many wonderful therapists like Tamara out there that are ready and willing to help. So just reach out if you have any problems.
Thank you so much, Lou. And Lou, just in your opinion, what are the biggest barriers for our patients in actually receiving the oncology rehabilitation that they so need?
The biggest barriers in them receiving rehab?
Yeah, and actually getting to us. I find, as you say, no one should miss out. Our patients, I think, are at this point. I don't think they're getting to the starting block.
I think some of the biggest challenges for cancer patients is the invisible challenges that take place every day that are not visible. Things such as extreme fatigue, cognitive challenges, pain, depression, anxiety, and feeling disconnected from their bodies and disconnected from their lives. It's a lot of those invisible challenges, I think, are the biggest barrier for cancer patients, because no one can see them. And once their cancer treatment's finished and people say, do you have cancer? They say no. People think they're okay. But we know that they're not. They've got all these invisible challenges going on, and they don't necessarily know where to go for help. So a lot of these side effects, these invisible side effects, often go unreported and therefore undetected and therefore untreated. And people just live with these side effects and suffer from them, which have a really big impact on their quality of life. So I think those can be some of the biggest barriers, is that a lot of the symptoms are actually invisible to everybody else. And people just think, oh, I've had my cancer treatment. I should feel lucky that I've got through it. I don't have cancer anymore. I'm alive. And they don't necessarily know who to turn to. So I think it's crucial that people seek support for any symptom that they've got. And because, if we can catch symptoms early and we can tell people what they can do to self-manage themselves, and this provides, a lot of hope for them, and it helps them get back to feeling normal again, and helps them feel that they've got some control in their life. So I think it's really important that anyone that's been affected by cancer, whether it's recent or a while ago, if they are suffering from symptoms, they should get these checked out. And oncology rehab therapists are really good at assessing these things. And if there's things that are more sinister, they'll refer on. But a lot of the times it may be, things may be implicated because of a lack of a strength, or because of their deconditioning, or because of some musculoskeletal impact from the treatment, that we can actually help them gain that control. And when people start gaining more physical control, often that has a really big impact mentally as well, and really helps with things like depression and anxiety. A lot of people have a lot of fear that the cancer is going to come back, and a lot of fear around, will they be able to get back to work again? Will they be able to look after, their friends and family like they used to? All those sorts of things are impacted. So oncology rehab can help that. But I think the biggest challenge is often that a lot of these symptoms are invisible, and they're not getting referred for rehabilitation because they're not telling people that they're impacted by them. So I think if anyone knows someone affected by cancer, they should refer them on to have an assessment with an oncology rehab professional, because they will often pick things up that that may have been there for ages that the person didn't have to suffer with.
Yeah, and I think in South Africa we're actually quite fortunate to have an oncology benefit from most of the medical aids, where it might be limited, but it's there, and we are able to make use of it. So money doesn't always have to be a barrier to just getting that, taking that initial step and just getting that first support that the patients need. And here in the Western Cape, we're also fortunate to have very good government programs as well. So, I think that there is support available, and our patients can really seek it out. Okay, great. Lou, so where can we find you if we need more information, if we need to follow some Facebook pages, or do you have a website we can get to?
Yeah, so we do. Pink and Steel we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and also we have a website which is pinkandsteel.com, which is pink with a C. And we're actually right now developing a website specifically for South Africa, so that people can find where their local oncology rehab professionals are and connect with them that way, so that they can even connect with them, and they know the therapist can then know them, and they can ring them up and they can answer any questions that they want. So that's being developed right now, but at the moment we do have the Pink and Steel website, which has all our therapists on it, and we have our Facebook page and our Instagram. So yeah, that's how you can find more about us.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And then one last question. It's a bit of a fun one. Do you prefer mountains or oceans?
Oh, that's really tricky, because I love them both. And I actually live really close to the ocean. And as you know, I love paddleboarding, but I absolutely love mountains as well. I'll have to say the ocean because I do like it a bit warmer. So I'll have to say the ocean.
Beautiful. Me too. Lou, thank you so much for joining us today. We've really enjoyed the valuable information you've given us. And if anybody is looking for us and more information in South Africa, you can find us at Paxo or the Long Beach Medical Center, and email us on info@lymphatictherapycenter.com. And don't forget to like our Facebook page. All right, Lou, thank you very much.